everybody, it's Georgia Rose. I'm back in the soul space, and I am so glad to see everybody here tonight. I have been so excited about this show. I have an amazing guest, which we're going to get to in a minute. But first, you know me, I just have to talk about the energy for a few moments. And I have to say that we've got a lot of things changing this week. Venus just went into Cancer, and Leo has Mercury going into it. So what does that mean? It means that the next few days are going to be all about me. Everybody's going to be whining and a little bit more forceful about their needs and wants. So always remember that the best healing that we can do takes place within us, not demanding it from another, right? So with that, I have such an inspirational guest tonight. I actually did not know this person, but I met her virtually through Strong Island Television. And my producer, Bobby Lacera, is also going to join us tonight. And I, first of all, want to introduce this woman. One of her mottos is, get your soul worked out the way it was supposed to. And when I heard that, it just really resonated with me. I actually felt it in my heart because that's something that I've kind of been devoting my whole life to the last 15 years. So our guest is Maryann Maisano, and she is an entertainer, a singer, a songwriter, an actor, a musician. What has she not done? I don't know. She was someone who was very successful in corporate America and then completely changed her life following her soul. She has been starring for the last 10 years in the ongoing show Italian Chicks, which she's going to tell us all about. But tonight, the main topic that we're going to talk about is this one-woman show that she wrote. She wrote it as a way to combine her musical and comics talents. And Agita has won, Agita, I'm sorry, I keep saying Agita because I keep in my head reading it. And when I read it, I think like that, but it's Agita. So, and believe me, I know what that means because I always call it the uts in my stomach, but I grew up with a lot of Agita. So it's a one-woman show. She's won 4 awards already. And I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about how it all started and how it came to be. My very special guest tonight is Maryann Maisano, and she's with us by phone. So you guys are going to have to imagine. We'll put some photos up so you get to know what she looks like. There she is. She's beautiful, right? Quite a looker, guys.
Yay!
Hey, Maryann, jump in. Otherwise, I'll talk forever.
Okay.
Do you know why I keep calling it Agita? And like, I'm from an Italian family. We all have Agita. And I keep doing that phonetically because for some reason, I feel like you have the energy of Evita. I was listening to you sing and your voice, and I'm like, gosh, this woman's like an Evita. You have that determination. So
don't cry for me, Argentina.
Exactly.
Is that what you do?
Yes.
How are you, Georgia? Thank you for having me on the show.
Crazy energy today, so I'm glad you're on because you're going to fit right in.
Well, this is my birthday week, so the energy is just abounding. I'm telling you.
So now tell us how you came all about with Agita, because I have to tell you, I've been watching some clips on YouTube, and you had me laughing pretty hard.
Oh, you watched the trailer?
Yeah. And I watched some other YouTube clips from Italian Chicks. I have to get out and see that. I have to see that.
Yeah, you do. You do have to. Well, let me see. Agita was part of a dream of mine that I had for a long time, wanting to write this one-woman show and actually turn it into a stage play. And it's really the story of my life, growing up the youngest of 4 in an immigrant Italian family. It's a true, Italian immigrant family story. My dad was, my mom and dad were from Europe, and my dad came here. Well, my mom was here first as a child, and my dad came here, and I think he was about like 16 or so, and got a job as a mason worker, and wound up meeting my mom. He met her, I think, when he was like 19. She was 16, and then he got drafted and went into the American Army and went back to Europe. So when he
many
came
did,
back,
right? So many of
what,
them.
honey?
So many people did, right? Leaving like small children.
Yes, all these. My mom was pregnant with my brother, who was the firstborn, and so when my dad got back, they were in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and he opened up the first cab company called Joe's Taxi.
So I'm laughing because I was reading a little bit about this online. You have a book on Amazon. I think it's the Agita monologues.
Yeah, because I started. You know what it was? It was when you set out to write, well, and for me, anyway, my process, I'm sure everybody has a different one, but my process was taking your story and putting it into chapters of your life. And when you do it that way, you can then entwine it and actually just write segues that take you from one place of your life to the next.
It's amazing that you're saying that because I'm actually working on a book right now, and the first draft of the book went a certain way. And then I woke up one night, exactly what you just said came to me, and all of a sudden the book started to really come together. So, boy, that
See?
nothing could be more true. I guess, now we have to add author and writer to your other monikers.
Well, you know what? If you read the book is a mess. I mean, like, a lot of people bought it back in the day and stuff, and I just kind of put it out there because it was just taking me so long, and it wasn't even. If you read that and you watch the film, it's so much different.
Well, it's funny because that's
everything.
exactly the impression I got. Because when I was reading the book, I thought, well, I know she wrote this a while ago because it's very primitively,
Right.
put together compared to the little trailer for Agita, because Agita seems to be so smoothly written and so smoothly flowing. You can tell
Yeah.
that you really put a lot into it, but also whenever I see work like that, and for the audience who's listening, it just seems so divinely guided to me. I feel like sometimes when people, you hit that pitch, that like juice, that energy, and it's just you're in the zone. That
Right. Right.
co-creation with some kind of source. It's just amazing.
Well, the interesting thing about Agita, here's how it came to fruition to start being actually created into this stage play. Um, I resigned. I was working in banking for about 18 years in the capacity of VP of sales, and it was a hefty position and a lot of politics and
So you were
very
definitely
little.
on the hamster wheel.
Oh, totally. And you get home at night after rubber chicken dinners, or 14-hour days, and there was no creativity left in the body. And
Right.
I
I
was giving a
get that
motivational
well.
seminar. Yeah, I was giving a motivational seminar to the sales team, and the first I always started out with, okay, guys, by a show of hands, how many of you knew that you wanted to be a banker when you grew up? And nobody raised their hand. And I
Oh,
was like, of
sure.
course not.
Right.
Sure, come on. You wanted to be a ballerina. You want to be a fireman, I mean, and then I
I
said,
wanted to be
people,
Marlo Thomas in That Girl.
there you go, right. People, banking has changed. And unfortunately, I knew a lot of these people were going to be pink slipped if they didn't start getting into the sales program. And
Oh.
unfortunately, years ago, those people were not hired to be salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very hard transition because if you're not a salesperson, it's not an easy transition to go from an order taker to a salesperson.
No, and I think, corporate America is wired, they call it competition, but it's really judgment. So
Yeah,
you're always shamed into thinking you didn't do the right thing.
totally, totally. And they were putting these people through all these predictive indexing, psych things, and then we'd get the scorecards back. Well, this one's more operationally motivated, and
He's
this
a
one
he's
is
a
more
Y.
sales.
This one's a B.
Yes, So I felt bad because I said, listen, if you had a dream or a passion, you had better find it again. And that's when I heard the words come out of my mouth because I always wanted to exit out. But
Mm-hmm.
being in corporate, we always had to write a strategy or an exit
Right.
strategy.
So you
And
start out to give an inspirational talk for the salespeople, but it was actually your own voice for yourself.
right. And I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next day I drove to the CEO's office and I resigned my 6-figure position. And the first thing
Wow.
I did was I said, I'm setting the alarm every morning for 8 o'clock because you can't squander time. It's the only thing you can't get back. Okay. And I wrote out a 3-phase because I was very corporate driven. So I knew left brain, right brain,
Right. You did your
And I
business
wrote,
plan for your non-business life.
yes, I did. And I wrote a 3-phase plan. First phase was to create a CD of music, which I did. And during that time, I put it out there, and there was a song on the CD called "City of Light." And my sister was at a wedding that Danny Aiello was at, and she sheepishly, unfortunately, my sister just passed away, but last
Oh.
month, and she sheepishly went over and gave Danny the CD and said, "Please listen to my sister's music," because at that time Danny was crossing over into doing some crooning, and he was doing some really interesting, cool stuff.
I
Right?
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm thinking, people do this all the time. Nobody ever, it's like I'm not Lana Turner sitting in the soda shop. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's like,
right.
wait, and then the guy comes over and goes, "Hi, we're going to take you to Broadway."
I've been discovered.
So, yes, right. So like 3 months later, I'm laying on my couch and watching TV, and the phone rings, and Danny had such a distinct voice, God rest his soul, and he said, "Maryann Maisano, this is Danny Aiello," and I had a comic friend of mine who did impersonations, and he used to call me every once in a while and do De Niro and this, and I thought it was him, and I went, "Oh, John, knock it the frig off," and all of a sudden he started laughing, and he goes, "No, this is really Danny Aiello." I was like, "Oh my God, is this?"
Wow, that was great timing.
Right?
That she just happened to be at that wedding.
Yeah, exactly. So he told me that he fell in love with the song City of Light, and he asked me if he could record it. And I was like, absolutely. So that was amazing enough for me. And it was nominated for a Grammy, right?
Now, Maryann, how long did that happen between that and when you quit your job?
I probably would say 2 years.
That's pretty quick to manifest that. But you seem to be a great manifester from your bio. So,
well, I work real hard at it. I really do. Yeah. And
but that's what we talk about a little bit on the show. I don't want to interrupt the story, but like you put into practice what I always tell our viewers, because I always say if you're trying to manifest something, you have to show the universe what you want. You can't just go home and hang out at the tennis club and say, I want to, be a recording artist. You have to actually work at it. And that's what you do. You actually put that into actuation in your life.
Well, yeah, because, I hadn't written a song in 10 years. And when I wrote that CD, I wrote it in less than 2 months because the music just poured out of me.
Right. You were where you were supposed to be.
Right. Totally. And, that comes from one of my favorite books in the world that I still have in my bookshelf. And I take it out every once in a while, because everything is benchmarked, right?
What's that? What
and
book
dog-eared. And it's The Alchemist.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. I have it on my bookshelf, too.
Right. Living your personal legend.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that, if you never take the shot or walk without the net, and listen, maybe if I was married and I had kids, I would have thought twice about it, thinking I'm taking food out of my kids' mouths. But it was just me.
Right.
So I was willing to take that shot.
Boy, our stories are so similar.
I'm not saying any of it was easy. Some of it was really hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets better, and then sometimes it gets hard again.
But did you find on the journey, like when you reached those hard times, it actually strengthened you sometimes? Maybe you'd give up for like 10 minutes and have your cry, but then you came back even stronger?
Well, yeah, because you know what? The deal was, like I always say, always have a plan A, not a plan B. Because if you have a plan B, you will always acquiesce when things go hard.
Right. Never give up.
And you always fall back and you go, okay, I'll do the plan B. And then you never get back to where you wanted to be.
Right. Because humans take the path of least resistance, given the option.
Right. And you know what? I did everything from Uber driving to I can't even tell you
I can't
what I did to make I'm really. And
you were probably driving and telling all kinds of stories and jokes.
Oh my God, I was getting
great tips.
$500 tips from Japanese businessmen. Okay. And I didn't have to say, do you want me to love you a long time? Okay.
They wanted the happy ending.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a happy ending.
No, I'm just kidding. I know.
I'm gay. Let's not go there, okay? It wasn't an Asian businesswoman. Okay. So, cut to the chase, like you really have to stick with it. And it's very, very hard. And there were times that I cried, and there were times that I was frustrated, and there were times that I was just elated about, whatever happened at that moment.
But it sounds like Danny took a great interest in you.
Yes, and Danny and I became fast and furious friends. And then when I put together, the second phase was putting together this all-female Italian chick show that would really concentrate and keep the cultures and traditions alive. But it's not just about being Italian. It's also about a dysfunctional family, so everybody could relate to it.
It's funny because I have a lot of girlfriends who are Greek, and I always say Greeks are exactly the same as Italian. And when I watched a couple of the clips from the Italian chicks, it's really true. Myself and my Greek girlfriends, we live the same life.
Totally, and Jewish people too.
Yeah, yeah.
Very similar. This Mediterranean
immigrant families, right?
Yeah, really crazy. So Danny then came to one of the Italian chick shows and fell in love with it and said he wanted to endorse it. And so, we still keep his name, and he always said I could. And, it's also paying homage to him.
Yeah.
I mean, every time before a show, we do you hear the little bit of clips from Moonstruck, and you hear Danny's voice, like going,
Oh, what a great movie. I watched that movie a
Loretta,
lot. I still pull it out
Loretta, will you
sometimes.
marry me? And then you hear all these clips, from the movie, and then a voiceover comes on and says, "Tonight's show is dedicated to Danny Aiello."
Aw, that's
And
beautiful.
it's amazing because the audience just like goes right there with you,
I always
And,
remember at the end of that movie when Cher's mom goes, "Do you love him?" And she goes, "I love him awful, Ma."
I love him. Right. Gee, it's a shame because when you do, you know. So that's the beginning of our show, actually. While you're in the audience, you hear parts of that movie.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So we started the show, and Danny has wound up endorsing it. We became really good friends, and then I was starting to write Agita, and I was writing it a little at a time because sometimes it's very cathartic and it just pours right out of you, and that's great when it happens. But then sometimes you have to think, and you have to really think about, well, what happened here, what happened there, and
yeah, you have to kind of let it gel and fester and marinate.
Right. And I was the only person, the only sibling in my house that went to therapy. So that, in itself was a shocker. So, just thinking about my therapy sessions brought back a lot of,
Most of the
I
time,
needed.
therapy in an Italian family is a slap across the back of the head.
Absolutely. My father said, Maryann, what do you do this? Do these type of things. You got the problem. You come, you sit at the table. We're talking nice and nice. That's how that went down. And then from there, writing Agita, what I did was I premiered it in the Producers Club in New York City in 2017. And I taped it with my iPhone because I knew that, and I think this is typical for everyone. You put it out there in a small venue and you work it and you go home and you watch what you did.
Right.
And then you say, okay, this is what I want to fix. This is what I want to add.
I do that with every show, and I think of the podcast as my classroom.
There you go. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So when I did that, then I knew I wanted to do all these rewrites. But, I was busy trying to make other things happen. Also trying to feed myself at the same time. So when the pandemic hit, it was, I always say, people are like, this freaking pandemic, baby. And you know what? Not for nothing, but every once in a while, I think the world needs a reset.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, a great big reset.
Yep. And I think, some people really excelled. And I was one of them during the pandemic because I was never more creative. I wrote so many songs.
Wow.
I wrote
great.
so much material.
Yeah.
And I rewrote this entire play.
So you were ready when you came out.
Totally.
That's an awesome story. That's really about making the best use of time. Don't let it be a detriment,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you did something right because the play won 4 awards. You've got Best Drama, Indie Fair, International Film Festival, Award for Best Stage Play, Movie Play International Film Festival. I think Bobby has a graphic to put up. Best Drama, Multi-Dimension Independent Film Festival, and Best Comedy, Lightbox International Film Festival. So the play really is very versatile, winning awards for Best Drama and Best Comedy. You don't really see that in the industry, right?
Well, you know why? It really is a dramedy. And in film festivals, there's really no category for like dramedy or rom-coms, romantic comedies.
Yeah.
So
and those are my favorite.
In some, I listed it as drama because it is, because it will make you laugh, it will make you cry, and it's very universal. It hits everything in everybody's life.
Yeah, I think especially, it doesn't even matter if you grew up during that time period or not. I think that's something, Bobby just put up the graphic of all the awards. Amazing. Really, everybody out there, give some heads up to Maryann in the comments because she is really something else. Boy, I didn't really do that much during my sequestering of COVID. I was in a high state of anxiety. I did write a little bit, but I couldn't be that creative. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? So I give you a lot of kudos for coming out strong and with a whole project like this. How amazing is that?
Well, it was, and I loved it. And it was really like my days weren't much different before the pandemic.
Right.
I'm a very structured person,
Yeah.
and I'm very how can I explain it? It's not a motivation. It's like, I guess it's also because of my corporate life. I'm
I was
used
going to
to getting,
say you're conditioned
you
to
know,
work wired that way. And
yes,
for
I have an
you
agenda.
for you
Right,
it sounds like you're a big manifester and like you say you dream big, but at the time, driving an Uber, doing all these things because now you have this career change. And for you it sounds like that it was really a gift to have that block of time where you kind of pressure
right.
was off a little bit and you couldn't perform, you couldn't like go out and actually do things. So you really kind of had to figure out what your next step was. And so you got to devote all
Oh,
that to Ajita.
totally. I mean, every morning. I mean, it was so funny because one of my best friends, Gina, she used to say to me, "If anybody wanted to assassinate you, it would be so easy because you do the
Creature
same
of habit.
things every day."
I'm
And
that way
I
too.
could tell you. I mean, I would get up in the morning, I'd have breakfast,
Hmm.
I would go and I would walk 5 miles,
Wow.
and then I would either go to Stop and Shop or CVS.
You're like
And
me.
then I would come home and I would work all day, either on promotions or graphics or this or that, whatever it was, a
Yeah.
song
Because you're
or,
disciplined. You have a discipline.
yes,
And,
that's the word I was looking for.
yeah, absolutely. And I use a word that a lot of people don't use this kind of not, cool, but it's devotion. When you really love
Totally.
what you do and you find that soul place, like you're saying, get your soul worked out the way it was supposed to be. When you are in that zone, you're devoted to it. You can't not do it. Like I always say, a musician
Totally.
can't not play, a writer can't not write, an artist
Right.
can't not paint or whatever their medium is. So when you're in that soul space, that's why we call the show the soul space, because it's what I love to do. So when you're in that space, it just flows. Like, did you find like time went by? You didn't even realize it would be like hours and you're writing and then you look up and you're
Oh,
like,
let
wow.
me tell you, when I sit in my studio and I put the headphones on and I have my guitar and I'm writing a song or working on, because
Yeah.
what I do is I play all the parts. So I play the electric guitar, then I play the acoustic, then I play bass,
So talented.
then I
Wow.
add in drum beats, then I actually will play on the keyboard strings and this and that. Like all of a sudden I look up and it's dark
Right.
and I don't
Because it's
realize.
timeless. When you're real, I call that being in a place of love because you're really
Yeah,
in love in those moments, and it's timeless. There's no time in that
right. Hey
suspension.
George, can you do me a favor? Can Bobby share this as we're on my page?
Yes, Bobby can do that
Okay.
for
You
you, and
got
we're
it.
going to bring Bobby on now too a
Well,
little bit.
I know,
let me
great.
share it
That'd be
first, and
great.
then I'll
Bobby,
bring
if
him
you
on.
He's
can
got to do
share.
a little keyboarding first, and then he's going to come on with us.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I want to hear the story of how you and Bobby met and became collaborative. Because I know he has produced the film on your one woman show,
Yeah.
Agita. And from I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying. I want to let everyone know that this is going to debut on a pay per view, and we'll give you the information on how to do that on the 22nd, which I believe is this Friday, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's premiere weekend, 22nd,
Premiere
23rd, and
weekend. I
24th.
can't wait to see it. I didn't even get an advance copy, so I'm going to be watching right along with all of you guys. I can't wait to see it. But I want to know how you and Bobby came about when he comes on. Bobby Lasara is the owner of the place where I do my podcast, Paradise Studios and Strong Island Television. He is a platinum producing record producer and quite innovative in the way that he has done broadcast. And he's created a space with Paradise Studios for all of us, like myself included, to really just go out in the world and do what we want to do. And it's a beautiful studio. It's a beautiful vibe here. He does live events also. He does an open jam certain nights of the week here. We're in Massapequa, Long Island, for those of you who are local. And basically, we could broadcast podcasts from anywhere here at Strong Island. So I have the
Yep.
benefit of Bobby, and I actually used to do my podcast at another studio on Long Island in the beginning. And when I came here, it was such an amazing place. My stuff just opened up tremendously. So everybody give a hand out for Bobby Lasara, who's going to join us. He's out back
Thank
there in the
you.
booth.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for those kind words. And all I can say is, all I do here is everything I do. I just try to do it the best I can. I'm a perfectionist, and whether it's for me or if somebody's coming in here for me to do something, my goal is to make it happen the best I can. So It's
It
just
shows,
it's
you
just
know?
what I do. I really care about what I do, and I love this space. And I
Another
appreciate everybody
example
that
of
comes down.
doing what your soul's meant to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
In the soul space. So how'd you guys get together? Like, how'd this work? Because I have a feeling there was a hand of God in here somewhere.
Well, why
Well,
don't we'll
you know,
let
it's
her
just
tell the stories because it's her interview. But I'm here. Go ahead.
But yeah. Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I see you look cute.
He always looks
Bobby
cute.
and I. It's funny because you're talking about the soul space, and what Bobby just said is exactly how I live my life. When Bobby gets involved in something, he's in it,
Yep. That's why I'm
and
here.
he does it 100%, and he wants it, and that's exact. So I think we have almost kind of the same work ethic in a way, and I think like-minded people are drawn to each other. And I was on a show with Teresa Canestraci has a show.
Yeah, tea time.
It's
She's right after
tea
me.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And she invited me, and it was in the studio. So I went in the studio, and I brought my guitar, and I loved it because when I walked into his space and like I saw the stage, and I was like, oh man, this is great, And
Cool
then
here, yeah.
and he was such an easygoing guy to talk with, and we were joking around, and so I really liked him. I got a good vibe from Bobby. Like typically my intuition is a genius, and my shrink always used to say to me, go with it because your gut always knows the right thing.
Absolutely.
And I had the greatest vibe from Bobby. Like, he wasn't a typical asshole. And I know. And look, and that goes for females as well. I'm not just saying that because he's a guy, all right? But, I mean, you run into the most whacked out people in this business.
Yeah,
and
like
I'm thinking,
the last studio I was at.
there you go.
Around
But
here.
Bobby he's straight up. He's a good heart, and you know what? And so when I put this project together, I called him and I said, I set aside some time. I really like to talk to you. And we wound up, on the phone, and I talked about the project, and he was like, I'm totally in. And it was great. And he put together his team. The studio that I rented, they had their own team there. So it was a sound studio in Jersey City, which is the amazing backdrop. Everybody thinks that it was a fake backdrop, but that is actually the skyline of New York City behind me.
When I saw the trailer, I thought like it really was. It's very professional looking. I thought you were like at NBC Studios or something.
Right. It's beautiful. It's
Beautiful.
gorgeous. And we made the set. That set was made about an hour before
Wow.
Bobby started recording the play.
I always say if people only knew what goes on behind the scenes, I'm like, we could build a house in 30 seconds.
Oh, my.
You know?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, that day, it was August 7th, and it was the hottest day of the year. Okay, and I was sitting here, I was all ready, and we had a specific time we had to go down there. Everybody was going to meet, and I was like, because I'm like trying to keep my shit together, and I remember calling the soundstage, and I got one of the guys, that was going to be running the sound and all that stuff. And I thought I didn't think he was Italian because his last name was Rogers. It wasn't like like yo, like
Yeah.
Peppino. So I said to him, listen, I don't know if you ever worked with an Italian chick, but we are very, very crazy about our hair. Okay. So,
Oh, Bobby knows.
yeah. And I'm like, you really have to make sure, because it's a 10,000 square foot space. You have to make sure that you got that air pumping because, this is going to be filmed for posterity. And I don't want to look like a freaking wet rat. Okay. So he goes, I do know about Italian chicks. And we are having a problem with the air conditioning. Now I want to die. Right. So I go, all right. Well, he goes, but and then he calls me back. Well, I got it working. Well, he didn't really get it working. There was only one spot that was working. And if you stood under it, you might have got a little bit of air. So when I went in there and I saw the space, I looked at him and I said, this is not going to work. And there were 18 oscillating fans, right, Bobby?
Yeah, we're all over the place. It was horrible.
All over the place.
Oh my
Horrible.
God.
The big.
You would never
solid,
know to
yeah.
look at the video. And you'd never
Right.
know.
Well,
And then, so now I go, we're not doing this in this room. I mean, this other room was connected. It was just that there was a drape that was in between it, I said, the other room has a little bit of air. We're moving everything in there. And then we took all the office furniture and I made that set in under a half hour, right,
I
Bob?
believe it. You are a steel driving woman, let me
Yep.
tell you.
Holy shit. I was like, now get that, bring that over there. Is it gold? Okay. Looks like copper diamante.
And that was
Throw
right
it
about
over.
right about the time Bobby was like, I should never
Well,
sign on for
listen,
this.
when I got there and the set was being set up, it was so hot. I can't even tell you. It had to be at least 80 to 85 degrees.
You're a better
Yeah.
woman than me, Maryann, because I would have
And,
left.
and you know what? Like, all I can say is, listen, people showed up. And they had those fans going the whole night. And, thank God for the fans. But the problem is, all that noise, I'm trying to record the audience. I'm miking
yeah.
up the room.
Oh my goodness.
So now I get home the next day, and I swear to God, when I listened to it, my heart dropped. And I was saying to myself, I'm not going to be able to make this happen. This is just, without the sound, it's not going to work. And all I can say is, and I told Maryann this once, is I've never seen somebody just make a decision and do what she had to do without even showing the slightest bit of, aggravation, or she just went on like a professional. And as hot as it was for the audience, I'm sure it was even hotter for her.
Mm-hmm.
And you would never know it. And like when people watch this, and after I honestly spent like weeks upon weeks on the sound alone, just getting the sound.
Right.
When it was all said and done, and you watch this, you would never in a million years know what we went through to record this.
No, hearing this story now, I can't even
Oh my
believe
God.
it.
It's incredible.
Right.
Absolutely
And
not
you-
anywhere near inevitable. It's not, on that screen at all.
Yeah.
I can't even
Right.
imagine how you would have gotten rid of that sound.
No, it just took process over it would each time
Yep.
I worked on it, I got it a little bit better, and I just kept going. But
Thank God
yeah,
for you.
Thank God for me. And because all I can say is just she was amazing. Like, the way she just went on there, she did a thing like nothing was wrong. It was incredible. She killed it. She had me crying and laugh, like literally as I'm
I
filming
remember
this.
that, yes.
I'm like,
All
Maryann,
the
you had me
camera
at one
guys.
time with the guitar and comparing the guitar to her father. And I'm like, she had me literally in tears.
Aw.
And I'm recording this. And then 5 minutes later, I'm laughing. And I'm like, and as I'm capturing all this, I'm not aware of that, how bad the sound is. But anyway, I knew that she was just on top of her game. And I'm just, I can't thank her enough for putting her trust in me. I told her from the beginning I never did anything like this before. So she really took a
knew.
chance. But I'm just so
But it was
glad
that
she did.
intuition, see?
Well, I
Yeah.
knew he could. I knew he could, because you know what? He is very driven and he is very dedicated. And I said, when you have that in you, you're going to want it to be the best.
Well, that's exactly right. And you made a really important statement before that I think a lot of people probably didn't hear. And you said like-minded people are attracted and drawn together. And
Right.
you one of the first things you said to me when we spoke earlier in the week was you're a great manifester. And one of the things
Yeah.
about being a great manifester is when you're in flow because things like this start to happen. And, you had an
Right.
impression the first time you met Bobby. And the first time I met him, I remember I felt him. I could feel that exactly what you're describing. I could feel in him that
Yeah.
passion he has. And I'm just sitting here listening to your stories, and I feel like to see two people with so much passion come together on a project, that is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, we have.
Thank you.
We have bonded like so much over this project. It's amazing.
I think,
we're like-
I think Maryann has
Bobby,
an effect on people.
do you,
'cause I feel
Bobby,
that
do you
way.
remember the hairy giraffe?
yeah. Oh my God, what a year it's been.
I mean, I have to tell you, Bobby was so good. Like, here's the deal. First of all, you got two Italians, right?
Three.
We have been, well, I'm saying when
No,
him
I
and
know,
I
I'm
are working
just
together,
kidding.
right? And, I have a temper. I do. And, I'm all into the spirituality. Believe me, Georgia, I am. You know
Well,
that.
we're human.
But
Unfortunately,
it's
that
very
damn
hard
humanness
to be
comes in.
spiritual when you're Italian.
Right. Tell me about it.
Because nobody wants to wait for friggin' karma unless it's a big guy named Karma. Okay? Just
It's
too
so
much.
true.
But what happened was, but let me just back up for a minute because I want to tell you about Bobby and I working together, what happened. But first, when he's talking about being on the soundstage, and it was so hot, I remember going into the back of the room after everything was set up, and I remembered getting a brush from one of my friends, and I was like, okay, and I sat down, and I said, God, I have no control over this. None. I can't control this at all. Please make me feel cool. I'm going to feel cool. And I'm going to get through this. And no one's going to know that I am sweating my tits off. Okay? and you know what? It worked.
Mm-hmm. You prayed.
And
answer of prayer.
It was amazing. Now with Bobby, it's funny. Now going through this, now we were dealing with so many different things. I mean, we were dealing with Amazon and emails, and we turned down offers from Amazon. We just said no, we're not doing it with Amazon. It was ridiculous. These people are crazy. And
corporate America, you walked out on them.
I'm sorry.
You walked out on corporate America once, so.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You know what? Bobby and I have a new motto. It's like we're going to take back our art.
Yep.
I love
We're
that.
taking back our art because everybody, you have all these people that are working their asses off, and everybody. Let me just tell you something. When your pipes break in the kitchen, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you're having a big dinner party, you don't call a plumber, and then when he comes over, say, "Listen, do me a favor. We got a lot of important people in here, and a lot of their pipes at home are really screwed up. I want you to go in, fix the pipe. I'm not going to pay you, all right? But I'm going to give you all these referrals, and they're going to. Who's going to do that? The plumber's going to say, "Get the frig out of here."
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why do they think they could do that with performers or camera people or a guy like Bobby? Why do they think?
I think, but truthfully, I know you don't really want an answer, but I think it's because a lot of performers don't have the confidence that you do.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Well, and look, it's not about money to me because I walked away from a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's about the integrity of.
Exactly.
Listen,
but see,
we have
people
a
give it up
project
when
here.
they're not confident. They don't believe in themselves.
So, same thing with all my music on all these music platforms. I get a check for $6 and they were like 48 downloads. Give me a break.
You owe me your life now. I gave you $6.
Yeah. So Bobby is so funny because it was like good cop, bad cop. So Bobby would call up and he'd go, "Listen, I can't believe it. I can't take it anymore. All right, this freaking company." And he'd go off, and I'd be like, "Okay." And it was so funny because when he got crazy, I was calm.
There you go.
And it was like
Soulmates.
I was the person that was like, "You know what? We got this." And I'd hang up from him, and I would do all this research, and I would send him back. "Check that. Let's look at this. Let's do that." And then when it got reversed, and I was the friggin' lunatic, Bobby was like, "Okay, then listen. Let's do. Don't worry. We." So it was amazing how we took those parts from each other.
Yeah, meant to be. Really meant
Yeah.
to be.
So
Amazing.
with that being said, let's get into the trailer. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
You guys are going to love this. 20-second pay-per-view.
Agita, a one-woman play.
Okay, Ma. Ma, Rosemary just took a Napoleon. And with an inordinate affinity for the Blessed Virgin Mother. It's a boy! Yes, the second coming arrived. When Pop got to the address, he was pissed. Nobody sees it here, huh? I finally know what agita is. You know that feeling you get when you throw up a little bit in the back of your mouth and it starts to burn? In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Madonna School. Or as I like to call it, Our Lady of Perpetual Motion. This family of lies, deceit, false pride, entitlement, dysfunction, which is also a tradition. And she walked on down from the aisle of Ipanema with a big straw hat and her dildo named Sam. By a show of hands, how many of you knew that you wanted to be a banker when you grew up? While I was singing, he squeezed my hand so tight. Mommy, remember that time we went to the boat basin, Mom? Look, don't get me wrong. I love my family. But they make it so hard to love them.
Agita is the story of how detaching from the very things we love, striving to fulfill our dreams, and mustering up a little courage can save us. Maryann Maisano tells both funny and heart-wrenching tales, ripe with intrigue, poignancy, dysfunction, self-doubt, realization, and most importantly, hope. Come on, let me give you a little agita.
I think it's fabulous. I can't wait to see it. I know Bobby's doing a pay-per-view. We'll have some information on that up on my social media pages, Maryann's social media pages, and also Strong Island. So definitely got to get in there.
Now, Bobby, what you just put up, is that closed captioning from Facebook? That's not on the film,
Yeah,
right?
no, that Facebook is doing that automatically.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, because I was like, holy shit, do I have to correct that again?
I have to tell you guys, though, the sound on that was absolutely brilliant. I couldn't hear any background noise at all, so you guys did some job.
Yeah, that's my man over there. That's Bobby.
Gee, maybe I should record a song. He might even make me sound good.
He's my brother from another mother.
Yep.
So I have to ask you, Maryann, during the times when, like you described that time, you were just talking about, like you go in there and it's all hot as hell in the studio and you got to go on. Like Bobby says, you're so calm. Like, how do you do that? Is that conscious or is that just your personality? Is that a learned behavior from being in banking?
No, you have to let go and let God. You know what I mean?
You have to realize that
when you have no control over something, you can't just sit there and pound the fucking wall and drive yourself crazy. I mean, if you have to perform, you have to get your shit together.
Right.
So if you're a professional, you're going to sit back and say, okay. It's just like having a contingency plan when you're in corporate.
Right. Now
Go to the contingency,
Right. Now, you've had a lot of different types of performing that you've done. I know when you did stand-up, you opened for Ray Romano at one time.
Romano and
Joy Behar. So now are those, can you feel the difference of certain audiences, I mean, like you're performing in Italian Chicks or you're opening for Ray Romano. Are they similar audiences or can you feel the energy different?
Well, it's so funny. I'll tell you one quick story that was very funny. We were invited to do a fundraiser for St. Lucie in Newark, and it was in the basement of the church. And it's so funny because whenever you do these like religious kind of fundraisers, the priests and the nuns are always sitting at the front table.
Right.
Now,
who wants to
listen,
look at those faces
show,
while you're trying to be funny?
I'm sorry?
How can you look at those faces and be funny?
Well, no, the problem is you have, a bunch of women that are all Catholic. We're all raised Roman Catholic. And now it's like, oh, shit, we have to curse in front of the priest. What do we do? Because, hey, we are blue. It's not,
Yeah, of course.
So, I remember one show one night, and first the host gets up, and, like, all of a sudden it's like nothing's going well, okay? And I'm like, what the hell? Come on, Second girl gets up. I'm like, oh, she's going to kill it. Same thing. Third girl, I'm like, what the hell? Now I realized what was happening. By the time I got up, because I was like in a balcony and I was looking down below.
Right.
So when I got on stage, I had to state the obvious. And I said, okay, listen, I'm going to tell you something right now before we continue. I've been watching this. And it's been like watching Wimbledon. My head's going back and forth like I'm following the ball. Because every time somebody says something bad up here, all you people in the audience, look at the nuns and the priests to see if they're laughing. Okay? And so I'm telling you right now, Father, stand up. How do you fucking feel tonight? Okay?
That was great. You must have had them roaring.
Oh, my God. I said, so listen, he has given you special dispensation to laugh at anything that's dirty. Okay? And that was it. We got a standing ovation at the end.
There was a long line in the confessional the next day, right?
That's right.
But it was all good.
But the point is, you gotta. Well,
you're truthful. Yeah, I always say confront the elephant in the room because you break the ice.
Totally.
Yeah. No, that's a good strategy, definitely. So
yeah.
I also, one of the things I loved reading about you, I read a lot of your bio and a lot of the things that you've done. And the thing that stood out to me the most was exactly what you're describing. Like you really go into a lot of different situations in your life and you just basically, failure's not an option. And one of the things I had read about you were that in moments of failure, you really learn the most about yourself.
My God.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I think that's something that especially these days, a lot of people need to hear.
Yeah, well, I always say when you've, even when I went into a little bit of consulting just to pick up extra money, whether it was doing websites or videos or, coming up with sales strategies for people,
Well, you're very resourceful. I will say that. In reading, you always find a resource that you can use to be doing something. You're very resourceful.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, I've done a lot of things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I owned a bar. I did this. I did that. So when you do all these things and they don't always pan out, you now become an expert.
Right. You get resilient, right?
Yeah, but you become an expert because you know what not to do. Right?
Yeah. And you have that little, it's like the, what is it, the saying, a little bit about a lot?
I know a little bit about a lot of things. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll give you a quick story. This is what happened with health insurance. I never knew anything about health insurance. And now I was looking for health insurance, and this broker calls me. And he was a really nice guy. And he had a really nice, deep voice, and he's talking to me. And so now I said to him, listen, his name was Michael. I said, Michael, I told him my background. And now I said, listen, I know nothing about this. And he goes, get out a piece of paper, draw a T-bar. And I did. And he said, now I'm going to explain to you. This is what this does. This is what that. And I wrote everything down. And I go, wow, like I get it. I got it. Because nobody ever sat down and did that for me.
Right.
And I saw it in front of me. I wrote it down. I understood it. And then he said something else. I said, now, Michael, be careful. I can tell that you're trying to sell me because I used to teach people.
Right. Yeah.
So don't
You're
tell me because if you try to sell me, I'm going to just leave this conversation. Because so far you're educating me, and I like that. And what happened was he was supposed to call me. We were going to Boston on a road trip. I said, I want to make this decision when I get back from Boston. So call me on Monday. So Monday I waited for this guy all day, and we had a scheduled appointment. He never called, and I thought, well, that's weird. And I'm the type of person is when I want to do something, it has to absolutely be done that day. Right. Don't know why. Just
no
have
patience.
to do it. Yeah, just have to do it. So I said, you know what? I called up this company myself, and this lady, was very educated, and she walked me through everything directly in the company. And I took out my insurance. So now I kept calling this guy, and then I said, geez, God, I feel bad. Like maybe something happened to the poor guy, So he winds up calling me 5 days later. And something happened. He lost his equilibrium. He went in the hospital. He's fine now, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I go, good. He goes, all right, so let's go down with the policy. I said, no. I said, let me just tell you something. You educated me so well. I figured it all out, and I got my own policy. He goes, well, why'd you do that? I said, because I needed it. And he said, but why didn't you wait for me? I said, because you wanted to get me into a different insurance company.
Right.
Because that company is your pocketbook. I said, and I told you, I'm a big brand label whore. Because here's the way it goes. My mother gave me Quaker Oat with the guy with the hat on it. Guess what I buy? I buy Quaker Oats.
With the guy
okay?
with the hat on it. Yep.
Because that's what my mom gave me, and that's what I buy when I grow up. So I want I don't want a here Manhattan insurance. I want United Healthcare.
Right.
It's like Quaker Oats to me. Okay?
Yeah. No, I get that totally. It's so true. It gives you a sense of security.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, so you don't fail. You learn so that nobody can try to play a game with you.
Absolutely.
And
That's
I did the
way to do
same
it.
thing when I left the bank. I bought a Mac. I bought my own recording studio in my living room. I taught myself how to do websites. I taught myself how to do videos because I knew I wouldn't have a lot of money to spend on vendors that are going to charge me
Right.
$1,000 to do this, that, and the other.
Maryann, I have to do your chart one day because I in speaking to you, I can feel your energy, and I'll be darned if there's not some Taurus energy in there somewhere because that's the most resourceful sign, and you definitely are resourceful.
Well, I'm Cancer Leo. I don't know. I mean, yes, I would.
Well,
love
the
for you to do
Leo, I
that.
definitely can see. I just by looking at you, I know you're a Leo. So you.
But
you definitely
I'm
have that Leo.
I'm quite an introvert. It's really interesting
because of the Cancer energy. That Leo
Right.
is that fire, that king of the jungle, but the Cancer
Yeah.
balances you out.
Yeah, it's the Leo is the hair and being on stage
Yep.
because that's only
Absolutely. You got that lion mane.
When I'm an extrovert, that's what it is, on stage only. But I'll go to a party and then I'm like kind of quiet, and then someone will say, well, what do you do? And then when I tell them, I'm like, really? Sage, I don't do jokes. I tell stories.
Right. Well,
And
that's the
I'm
Cancer
at a
part of
party.
you. You're heartfelt.
I'm
Everything's
at
got
a
the heart.
party.
Yeah.
It's just like saying to a plumber, can you fix my leak in the bathroom? No.
I am going to pull a soul card for you just to
Cool.
close tonight out. I absolutely loved having you on the show. We want to have you on again. I don't know though. I think this show's going to get pretty big. You may not want to come on the Soul Space after a few months of
No,
successes.
I'm not that kind of person. And you know what? I'm telling you, wherever I go, Bobby Lacerra's coming with me.
You
He's the
can't. You have to
greatest.
stay here with me.
No, that's it. Bobby's going to hire a guy to take care of all that.
No way. I'm coming with you guys then.
Okay.
I'll be the road manager. I'm really good at negotiation. That's what I do for a
Okay,
living.
right. You do the road manager. That's no problem.
Yeah, no, I love it. So the card I picked for you, I know you can't see it, but I'm going to hold it up on camera so that if you play the video back when you're home, you'll see it. It is actually I'm going to hold it up on camera, so if you play it back, you'll see it. But
Well, I'm right now, so I can.
yeah, okay.
Back on.
So this is a beautiful card. It's actually the card. These soul cards don't have any words or anything on them. They're just pictures. And this is actually a card of rebirth to me, and also communication, which really fits in with exactly where you're at in your life right now. And if you look at this card, I'm trying to hold it up so that we can see it on
That's good.
without the glare. Should I put it on the table, Bob?
No, that's
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see it's a face. You can see the outline of the face here, and it's actually coming out of the mouth is another face, almost like something being rebirth. You're saying something, and it's a card with a lot of red and pink, which is to me rebirth, passion. So when I look at this card, I think that you're going to have even more success with this play. I think that this is really coming from your soul. It's almost like when you say the word Agita, it's almost like you're getting rid of birthing the things that you were saying at the end when you said that you really have to come to terms with some of the most uncomfortable things in your life. And you do it in such a beautiful and cathartic way that I think you are going to touch even more people than you think. And this card being pulled for you really shows me that. I couldn't have picked a better card for that prediction, actually.
That's great. God bless. I love that.
Yeah, no, I can feel the energy, and I feel it very soulfully. Like I feel it, really brings people together in the heart space. And I think you're going to be pretty surprised in the next few weeks and months what this brings for you guys. So
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank
from
you for
lips to God's ears. And
thank you for allowing me to just even share some of this energy and meeting you. I think that you and I are going to have a connection as well, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little better as well. So it's funny because someone had come into my house Sunday, and I had some things on the counter that had your photograph on it, and for some reason the person came in and they said to me, "Is that your alter ego?"
Really?
Yeah, because like our hair and certain photographs, we look a little bit alike. And so I said, no, that's my guest for Monday night. And so it was just really funny that they picked up on some kind of weird energy. But you are very much like me, I have to tell you. When you talk sometimes, I'm like, wow, that's what I would have said.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I
That's
just love
great.
meeting you and having you on. Really great. And of course, I loved getting Bobby in front of the camera. Thank you for helping me facilitate that, because I know people always wonder about him. I brag about him a lot because he's really helped me with so many things in my life. So
Yeah, Bobby is, I got to tell you, I adore this guy. I love him with all my heart and soul. I really do. And I want nothing but the best for him.
well, you have to share him.
All right. Well, all right. Maybe there's going to be money involved for that.
There's plenty of me to go around.
Okay.
And Bobby, I'm going to be calling you before the end of the week anyway, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be getting a lot of things ready this week, so we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Don't be Bogart and the Bob.
Okay. Georgia, thank you so much.
You
I
are
appreciate
welcome.
this
Thank
time.
you.
And I wish you all the best. And Bobby, my buddy, thank you for making magic with me.
Thank you for letting me make it with you. That's all I can say.
And July
That's what
22nd, pay-per-view. We're going to put up a little blurb after the show about that. So thanks so much.
Yeah,
And
on Vimeo, people, don't forget, check it out.
that's right.
Just go to Vimeo, Vimeo.com, and just search On Demand Agita. But we're going to be sharing the link like crazy this whole week. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everybody. I love you.
Thank you, guys.
This is the Soul
Love you guys.
Space. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you here tomorrow night. I mean, not tomorrow night. We'll see you here next Monday night at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.